What's happening, Steeler Nation? What's happening, good people? Hope everybody can hear me loud and well. Hope you guys are doing well. Happy Tuesday. Happy Terrible Towel Tuesday. How about that? How's everybody doing, man? I hope everyone is doing great. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. You got the day off. Juneteenth, federal holiday. Thank you for that. Which, I won't even get into all of that, but whatever. Thank you. It's something, ain't it? Also, for all of you guys who may be fathers out there, man, happy belated Father's Day. I hope you guys had a wonderful Father's Day. I hope you, felt very fatherly on that day. So hope everyone enjoyed that. Outside of that, man, let's jump right into this thing, man. Welcome to the latest episode of Terrible Towel Tuesday. I am your host, SimFBallCritic, live from the virtual, I can't even say the virtual shore anymore because I don't have my background up. It's on purpose. Like I said, it's taking me a little bit of time, but I'm going to have a new background here at some point soon. So just kind of going away from the green screen situation right now. But hey, let's say what's up to the early commenters. Let's cut on this timer. I have a personal goal tonight to try to beat this timer. So let's see if I can do it. But what's going on to the early viewers and commenters? Let's say hello to Zuri Rivers, Mark Irish, Jared Devil, Kev So Nice, Michael Garman. Hello, Miss Lanisha. How you doing, Miss Lanisha? Hope you're doing well. Always in the building each and every week. We definitely appreciate you. I'll actually be in your neck of the woods this weekend. Starting on Thursday, heading down to Tampa for a little bit of a weekend. Let's see. Joshua Shields. Who else? Brandon Cheney. Luis D. Y. Diggy in the building. Hello, Miss Tina Williams. Hello, Tina. Hello. Lovely ladies in the chat, man. Make sure you guys are taking time out to say hello to our ladies, man. We really appreciate them. No question about it. Jersey Boy, BQ412, Todd Christian. And I guess I'll end it right there. Oh, my bad. C. Antoine Hill, my man C. Antoine Hill in the building. Brian Williams. And I guess we end it right about there. Right about there, and we'll jump right into the action. Here's another one. James Tresvant. Is it Tresvant or Tresvant? I like to throw an accent on it. Tresvant. But yeah, welcome. So, all right, man, listen. This one, like I said, I'm going to try to do my personal best. Whoa, let me cut this light down a little bit. Got me shining. There we go. I'm gonna try to do a personal best tonight, man, and beat this timer because these are real quick topics, man, and I'm gonna roll through them. Again, I'll just be honest with you guys, man. I don't have as much information during this time of the year. I'm not a everyday website or anything like that, so I just try to look at some of the sites and see some of the things that they're talking about, and I bring it here to our forum and we can discuss it. But it's not a lot. Right now there's the lull period. There's no training camp. That has not started yet. As obviously all of us know that. So we shall see. We shall see what type of information we can get during these coming weeks as we wait for football to start up again. First topic I have on tonight. Let's see. Do I have a particular order? No particular order, but I will talk about the recent roster moves. We'll talk a little bit about Keanu Benton, some of the things that we're hearing that's being reported, and then we'll also talk about the DB rotation as far as the cornerbacks. Again, a couple things that are being reported out there, a couple things that Patrick Peterson is saying. It sounds like a good problem for the Steelers to have. So I guess the first thing we'll talk about, let's get into the roster moves. Last week we talked about, and I'm going to tell you right now, I do not know how to pronounce this kid's name. So I'm just going to spell it out for you guys. Give me a second. I talked about him last week. We talked about the Steelers still shopping in the inside linebacker position. And the Steelers did sign one of those guys, and one of those guys being Nick. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I'm just going to say Kwiatkowski. Koski. I'm saying Quia because it's KWI. I don't know if one of the letters are silent. Again, it's Nick, Kwiat Koski. Kawakowski. I don't know. No disrespect to him. If y'all know how to pronounce it, give me the phonetic spelling. But that is the guy that they landed on. You know, we knew that they had brought in a couple guys. Jermaine Carter Jr. was one, but it looks like they've decided to go with Nick. And he is now, for now, a Pittsburgh Steeler. And then they also signed a long snapper. I have nothing to say about that. I don't know how good or bad our long snapper is currently doing. So that's one position I have not had to talk about for quite a few years here since the Steelers drafted one. Since then, the long snap position has been okay. You know, the only snap situations that we've had problems with over the last couple of years is a few guys, not Mason Cole, but, you know, Kendrick Greens of the world, even Marquise Pouncey later in his career. Those guys at center were doing some high snaps or some errant snaps. You know, remember in the playoff game from Pouncey? We all remember what happened against the Browns in that situation, how that game opened. But other than that, I don't recall any bot snaps, bad snaps, or what have you with the long snapper. So honestly, out of sight, out of mind. I have nothing to say about them bringing in the long snapper. I literally have no words. Whatever. That's how I look at that. But yeah, man, so they did bring in the guy Nick. Let me see if any of you guys gave me the phonetic spelling. Why Diggy said just call him Nicky K. All right, we could do that. Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce his name. But what they're also saying is he is more of a special teams guy. Looks like he spent the majority of his or all of his snaps pretty much, I think they said, with the Falcons, was on special teams. So again, it sounds like he might be a type of guy that will be competing with Tanner Muse. If you guys remember that, they brought him in a little bit earlier in this process. He's also deemed to be a special teams rotation guy. But here's the question. So now are we ready to say that Mark Robinson is really going to have a more significant role? Because you would think that if he wasn't going to play much, maybe he would be the depth piece, which of course you're going to have at least four, I'm thinking, at least four inside backers. Sometimes they keep five. You would think that he'd be a depth piece anyway, but it sounds like they're bringing in a lot of, at least two guys that are special team guys. So I wonder, are we at a situation where Mark Robinson is competing with Elandon Roberts or Cole Holcomb, you know, to be one of the starters on the inside? That's another question that popped up in my mind as they signed Nick. Because again, and I'm going to talk about this here in a moment. You know, again, I don't have to build up the main topic of the night, because that is basically my main topic. Is, you know, I asked you guys in the title there, what is your biggest concern? And inside linebacker is mine. So I will talk about that in a moment. But it does make me wonder, you know, it makes me wonder what they're thinking, what their approach is, where they expected certain guys to play when you look at the depth in just that group. You know, there's nobody in that group that really jumps out at you. Honestly, the guy that has the most potential in most of our minds would probably be Mark Robinson. Again, I like Cole Holcomb, but Cole Holcomb is coming off of a foot injury. You know what I'm saying? So until I see him running around and running around and out there and he's a full go, I can't have the same level of optimism, because I have to see who he is after that. I liked what he did in Washington. You know, I was always a fan of him. You know, his name, number always popped up when I watched him. You know, if I was watching NFC East games and you know, they were in it, he was always a guy that I noticed. You know, you guys heard me say that when we first acquired him. However, again, coming off of an injury, you know, I have to wait to see how he performs as a Pittsburgh Steeler, whether that be training camp, what we're hearing from training camp, or also including preseason, before I can get excited. So if there's anybody that I have an interest in right now, it would be more Mark Robinson, because of the way he plays. I'm curious to see if he's going to develop. But then everybody behind those guys, man, it's just like, you know what I mean? So we'll get to that in a moment. One of our other topics here, let's talk a little bit about Keanu Benton. We're hearing some reports, or it's being reported, that he could potentially be a player that's capable of playing 3 downs, right? So instead of just being the, you know, bona fide nose tackle and, you know, a guy that would more likely be the nose tackle in base, They're talking about he has the potential because of, his skills and skill set and things of that nature to be a 3-down guy. So that got me to thinking. That really put me in as Dave Bryan and Alex Kazor would say, that, put my tinfoil hat on. And it really got me to thinking, like, wait a minute now. So let's suppose a guy like Keanu Benton is capable of doing that. What does that do to the rotation? Could you imagine the type of rotation that the Steelers can have, even from a pass rush standpoint, or let's just say sub-package standpoint? If you can include Benton in that rotation comfortably, because again, in sub-package, he would be spelling either Cam Haywood or Larry Ogunjobi, right? Along with guys like Leal, and along with whoever else might step up, if a guy like Loudermilk can step up, or whoever else might be on the roster. That could be very interesting, man, if you're comfortable with having a guy like Benton come in and can potentially play in sub-package downs. That would be very interesting. Because again, more so he's being, more projected as being the bona fide nose tackle, the guy that's going to be your starter whenever they run the base. But we know in today's society, man, in football, sub-package defense is pretty much your primary defense. You run base from time to time. Excuse me. And that makes me think too, man, if you're drafting guys like that, of course you're drafting guys that are capable of stopping the run, and probably more so being able to stop the run outside of just base defense. Guys run the football, teams run the football out of 11 personnel, which a lot of times you're going to match that with sub-package football. So sounds kind of interesting to me. But let's take a pause really quick, man. Give a round of applause to Luis D. First and foremost, thank you for the donation. Luis says, with Pat Pete saying that he likes the way the Steelers are built this season, that if all comes down to Kenny, also Pat, it all comes down to Kenny. He said also Pat was fired up when he saw the ranking of 31st best cornerbacks. A mad Pat Pete is good for the Steelers. Okay, so he was ranked as the 31st ranked cornerback. Okay, interesting. Yeah, man. I definitely like the way that you hear Pat Pete talk and the things that he's saying. I know some people would say, and I'm going to play both sides of it. On one hand, you kind of take it with a grain of salt because, again, what are the players going to say? Is a player ever going to come out and say, oh, I don't like what we're doing. Oh, I don't think we have a shot. Oh, I don't think. That's never going to happen. But on the other hand, a lot of the stuff that you're hearing Pat Pete say, and he's saying it candidly on his podcast with Brian McFadden. And again, I'm going to play the other flip side of the coin as well. I'm pretty sure he's media trained. He still knows what and what not to say. But you can listen to a little more of that because they're talking freely. Take it from me as someone who does podcasts, right? Not only this one, when it's just me talking, sometimes I get to talking, and I didn't know didn't plan to say something, but it just happens. But then there's other times like, with me and my boy Smitty, when we do our Thursday night thing, it just brings stuff out of you that you might not have planned to talk about, so I listen to more of the stuff that he might say on the podcast versus what he might say to a reporter. But yeah, of course, I think anybody can see that the Steelers are definitely building something and bringing in that mix of veterans with young guys, man. And yeah, it is going to come down to Kenny's performance. It's really going to come down to how well Kenny Pickett can, can he take another step or can he take the necessary step in his second season to make the Steelers more of a threat offensively. Having a year under his belt, mostly a year, even though he didn't start the season, he played a decent amount of games, having that command of the offense, being more involved in the offense, being able to have more latitude to, make adjustments on the fly and things like that. Maybe taking some of the handcuffs off of him, some of the training wheels off. it is definitely going to come down to his, how efficient he is and proficient. And yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think the defense is going to be what the defense is going to be. I think the Steelers, just on paper, I still think they are going to be a top 10 defense, if not higher than that. On paper, we'll have to see, but I still think the defense will be fine. I think the defense will pick up where they left off last year. You still got the majority of the same guys, and you got new toys and new pieces to roll with, but you still got that veteran leadership. You still got dogs at every level. Well, not so much inside linebacker, but you got a dog on obviously up front, and if you're in sub package, you got quite a few dogs, TJ and Cam, which I saw they were rated. CBS, I think, rated them the top pass rush duo. Okay, all right. That's a pretty good nod to Cam as well as TJ. And then, of course, you got Highsmith on the other end, and then you got other pieces that you're going to be bringing in and out up front, Ogunjobi and others. So I think they're going to be fine there. You go back to the cornerback position, even though he's older, Patrick Peterson will bring somewhat of a dog mentality, bring that veteran leadership. You hope guys like Levi Wallace will continue his production and how he has played. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. And then, of course, on the back end, you got Minka. And Minka has just, Minka has been doing an outstanding job, had a phenomenal season last year, man. And there you have it. So the Steelers, I think, definitely will have opportunities to be great, maybe greater. Maybe a better defense than last year because they got a few more pieces, a few more guys with ball skills. They got some young guys that they're going to throw out there and mix things up. So I think they'll be fine there. So it really is going to come down to, man, not only just Kenny Pickett, but, of course, Matt Canada. We'll see. Will Matt Canada be able to call better games? And what I mean by that is if something's not working, can he mix it up a little bit? And let me just say this real quick so everybody knows my expectation. I don't think you're going to see a complete overhaul of Matt Canada's offense. What I really would like Matt Canada to do is just be able to adjust. I think that was Matt Canada's biggest fault. Because there were times, we all have to sit here tonight and admit, there were times when Matt Canada called a good game. There were times when Matt Canada had good play calls. And you can't be results biased, right? But I think what his biggest problem to me was situational play calling, right? Situational play calling and him sticking to the script too much and trying to adjust with 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Can't be doing that. We gotta be able to pivot, man. You gotta be able to pivot during the game. You know what I'm saying? It cannot be these moments where, okay, this ain't working, but let's keep trying it until it works. That's not gonna get it, brother. And that's my critique of Matt Canada. I know some fans are always going to say, oh, his guy sucks. I know, but why is it that you feel that way? So be specific with it, because a lot of people, again, I always like to use the phrase highlight watches. A lot of people only think something was good when it works. Sometimes it was a good play call that just didn't work. So it's not, I don't judge Matt Canada solely on the success, or any offensive coordinator. I don't judge them solely on the success. I judge play callers on their approach, their willingness to adjust. Or I'll give you an example. Y'all watched the Super Bowl, didn't you? Andy Reid and them boys called the same play a couple times and scored touchdowns because it was working. All right? And the Eagles just didn't adjust. They just stuck with that man coverage. So it's not always about how many different plays you call. It's just calling a efficient game, knowing when to do this, when to do that, when to stick with something, and when to audible and go in another direction. That's what I need to see out of him, and sprinkle in some stuff we've never seen before. Utilize that personnel. So that's what I need to see out of Canada. Round of applause, man, to BQ412. Appreciate the donation. He says, Sim, what is your honest expectations for Kenny P with the full year, OTAs, and training camp under his belt? Honestly, man, I just want to see him just take another step. I want to see him a little more settled in. I like to see his accuracy improve. I like to see his decision-making improve. a little bit, because there was still some times where we always like, ooh, that was a bad decision right there, or ooh, horrible ball. And you're gonna throw inaccurate passes from time to time. The best quarterbacks do. But again, I just want to see consistency from him, and I want to see more command. More of what we started seeing from Kenny in the last 5 games or so. We started seeing him really settle in, and I think that's what I can expect going into this season, is that you see more command. He doesn't look so much like the new guy. I want to feel like I can say, oh, this is Kenny's offense. He's running this thing now. That's what I can expect. Am I expecting him to throw for 6,000 yards? No. Am I expecting Kenny in his second year to throw 40 touchdowns? No, I'm not. I'm not putting lofty things on him like that, but I think he could be a better quarterback than what we saw last season. And again, playing off of the last few games, definitely those fourth quarter game-winning drives. I want to see some more of that. And it's going to be a combination again with Matt Canada. Matt Canada's offense started to adjust a little bit later in the season, where my biggest critique too of him on third down, he would run the same routes all the time. He would run deep comebacks or basically go routes. And you started seeing more route development happening later on in the season. So it's a combination of the little things like that. And that's where you got to lean on your offensive line to give you the protection, being able to run the football, to set up these shots downfield and things like that. It's a lot that goes into it, but that's really what I want to see from Kenny. I'm not, going to be one of those fans that, oh, he's got to win the Super Bowl and he's got to go to the Pro Bowl and he's got to throw for 10,000 yards and 100 touchdowns. Come on, man. He's still a rookie. In a sense, he's a rookie now going into his first veteran year, if that makes sense. That's kind of how I phrase it. You're still kind of wet behind the ears, even in your second season. So, I got expectations for him, but tempered, realistic expectations. Just my thoughts. Let's see. One other comment. Not comment, topic. Rolling right through this thing. The DB rotation, man. Again, going back to some of the things we're hearing Pat Pete say, he's talking about how Joey Porter Jr. and Corey Trice, will be very good, and how he feels like what he's saying is they will be able to excel. He called it the lost art, of guys being able to press and get their hands on receivers. And he kind of talked about one of the things I complained about with our, cornerbacks last season, which maybe we didn't have the guys to do it. But a lot of guys play bail, they line up tight and then they bail out. It's not a whole lot of corners you see in the league now get their hands on a guy, right? Reroute him or just get a good chuck on him, or even, confident enough to do it. Because sometimes, if you miss, a good receiver get by you, that quick miss is the difference between, maybe a 6-yard catch and a touchdown. You know what I'm saying? But you don't see that often with a lot of corners. You don't have a lot of corners that kind of practice that skill set. You even remember, guys, when I was kind of critiquing, remember guys like Keely Ringo, and I was saying, you know what? They rely on his speed a lot. He plays a lot of bail. And remember I was saying, I don't see him get his hands on a lot of people. And the thing that I liked about, guys like Gonzalez and Porter, I was like, yo, these dudes will get in your face. They'll get right in your face and they get hands on you. They'll press. They're gonna utilize them at 5 yards to their best, to their ability. And I love that about them. They were more in your face, more physical type of guys. Whereas a guy like Ringo was, your modern day, I'm just gonna bail and rely on my makeup speed and things like that. But Pat Pete also said that these guys do have good recovery speed as well. And when they're able to jam you and reroute you, it just buys that much more time. But it made me think, listen, if Porter and Trice continue to show like that, obviously Porter, you expect him to play because, again, Terrell Austin even said it wasn't going to be a red shirt year. But if Trice actually ends up being another guy who's a tad bit bigger than Porter, it makes you wonder, what are the Steelers going to do with that DB rotation? There's a lot of options now. There's still a little question mark as far as who's going to be the bona fide slot guy, whether a guy like Sullivan makes the team or not. We talked last week about the guys that they're looking at to play that role. Even a guy like Elijah Riley, who would have thought that? I think it was Riley, Duke, Dawson, and Chandon Sullivan are, the three candidates that Grady Brown basically said, these are the guys who we're kind of looking at to be able to take that role. So if that is the case, right, and just looking at the guys who are capable of playing outside, man, there's so many different things that we could do. If Trice and Porter are showing that they're able to play this year in spots or what have you, and, even Porter could eventually, you never know, take over somebody's spot, whether that's Pat Pete or Levi Wallace. But just look at the options that the Steelers have right now. If you want to say Pat Pete is probably the weakest link because of age and things like that, that's fair. But he got this. He got this. That's going to get him. That's going to take him far places, in my opinion. When you got the smarts and that veteran savvy, that's going to win you over in certain spots, right? And he's willing to roam and move around. So it just makes you think, man, what if you play a dime where you get guys, all of them dudes out there? Like, imagine you play some type of dime situation where you could get Porter and Trice on the outside. You know what I mean? Slide Pat Pete in the slot. Throw Levi out there somewhere. And then you still got your two safeties because, you could go 6 DBs. A lot of possibilities, man. It's good stuff that we're hearing. Again, every team is going to say, oh, so-and-so is progressing. However, we have heard times where teammates have said about other teammates, he's got a ways to grow. I think he has potential, versus what we're hearing, like, nah, these dudes could be a problem. So that sounds good early. It just makes me think the capabilities, man. The capabilities. Yeah, somebody's saying he's a safety or something, Kenyon? I see Kenyon is saying Trice is a CB. So yeah, apparently somebody wasn't aware of that. Yeah, man, we just got a lot of possibilities. So again, a guy like Trice is a wild card. He's not supposed to be able to, to be doing this the way he slid. Of course, most people are thinking it was, injury history was what made him slide the way he did. But again, man, we have been so concerned about the Pittsburgh Steelers drafting cornerbacks and hitting on them for so very long. And we could very well be talking about, man, y'all remember that 23 draft? Man, when they got Peasy Jr. and Corey Trice, yeah, they hit on that one. We could very well be saying that, man. So let's see. I hope it all works out. I really hope it all works out. The only other thing I got, man, then I'm gonna go to the phone calls. And like I said, we getting out of here, man. Look, I'm beating my time tonight. We already had 33 minutes left. I'm definitely gonna beat that tonight. I'll just be brief with it. I'm going to answer my own question. I would love to see you guys' comments as well as I'm asking the question. Please give me your comments. What is your biggest concern with the Steelers today? Just talking about today. And today is June the 20th, 2023. As of today, what is your biggest concern? Mine would be, and it's the obvious one because we've talked about this for a few weeks now, it's still inside linebacker. Again, not because I don't believe in Cole Holcomb, but I can't honestly say I know so much about Landon Roberts. Again, I just know he's a thumper. He's a tackler. I don't really know what else he does. That's the homework that I've been doing here and there. I just don't have enough concrete to share with you guys yet. That's the reason why I haven't talked about it. I have watched some film here and there, but I've had a lot of stuff going on this last month, man. I've been crazy busy, but with Holcomb, as much as I like Holcomb from Washington, again, he's coming off of an injury. So there's always got to be an asterisk there. What's he going to be? Is he 100%? You know what I'm saying? Like, will he ever be what he was? You have to ask all of these questions when guys are dealing with injuries that dictate the way they move, right? If you're talking about a leg or foot or a knee, you have to ask those questions. What type of guy are they going to be post-injury? So with that being said, then you're seeing Mark Robinson is getting, first team snaps, obviously in place of Cole Holcomb. What is Robinson going to be in his second year as a linebacker, converted linebacker, by the way? It's a lot of unanswered questions. All of these guys behind them are basically special teamers. Are basically guys that most people, again, I don't usually just listen to the media, but when so many people are saying, well, these guys are just depth pieces, and we can agree to that. How many, defensive snaps have you all seen Tanner Muse take, or Nicky K, as Y Diggy would say? How many defensive snaps have you seen those guys take in the last season? So it's like they're not likely to be the starter in the inside linebacker position. And even if they were, I'm still concerned today because I don't know that. That would be my biggest concern right now. I don't have no huge concerns offensively other than, okay, I wonder if Kenny's going to take this next step. That's it. I am not concerned with Deontay Johnson. I think he's going to be Deontay Johnson. I don't think he's going to drop the ball as much as people say he does. And maybe his touchdowns will return this year. Again, I don't think the touchdowns were all his fault. Even that one where he caught and drug his foot, in the back of the end zone, people was killing him on that. Oh, the elite receiver would make that. Man, that was a tight squeeze. You know what I'm saying? But again, you can't get on Deontay Johnson not having touchdowns when that offense was in the dumps. So that wasn't all his fault. That dude is still an elite receiver. Yeah, I said it. Elite. He is. Those are facts. Maybe some people might say, well, those are your facts. No, they're facts. His route running capability, his footwork, his separation, and even with the drops. Go look at the people who got more drops than him. Even one year, Cooper Kupp had more drops than Deontay Johnson. Nobody would believe that, though, because we only see it from the Steelers' point of view. That dude is elite. George Pickens, I'm excited to see what he does this year. Fryermuth is still going to be a weapon. Darnell Washington, what they doing with that kid? Another weapon. Allen Robinson has the potential to be a weapon. Let's see what happens with Hakeem Butler. One thing that I didn't mention, Anthony Miller got released today. What does that mean? Does that open up a spot potentially for Hakeem Butler? Weapons. Najee. Going to be able to run that thing even more, I think, this year. Not too concerned about the offense other than the question of, is Kenny going to take another step? That's it. I'm not concerned, though. Not too concerned right now, surprisingly, with cornerback. I'm more intrigued to see what's going to happen, right? Because even if Patrick Peterson, let's say when it's situations where it's one-on-one with him and it comes to find out that he's just not making plays, then what they're going to do is they're going to bring one of the young boys in there. They'll bring Joy Porter Jr. in there. And then we get a chance to see if he can, grow in this. So I'm excited by that because they drafted a corner that I think has the potential to be a good one. And then they drafted another one late that seems like he might stick. So I'm not too concerned with that position. Levi Wallace played great last year. Not concerned with safety, with Minka and Keanu Neal and KZ. I'm not concerned with pass rush. We know the whole crew that's coming back. And again, we got some new pieces in there. So inside linebacker is the one. That is my concern. That is the one. Jack Bauer said Deontay Johnson is far from elite. Okay. I mean, listen, I'm not going to, that's your opinion. I have mine. That's just how I'm going to handle it. I'm not debating opinion. I'm not, because neither one of us can prove our opinion. I just say Deontay Johnson has elite skills. How about that? Maybe you're not going to say he's not elite because he doesn't have the touchdowns. He got elite skills. Look at all of the receivers in the league that you would say are elite and tell me if Deontay Johnson can't do that. That's how we should judge it. Think of every other receiver that's elite, that you consider elite in the NFL, and then you tell me if Deontay Johnson is capable of doing what they do from a skill standpoint. We got another donation, man. Round of applause to C. Antoine Hill. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. He said, "What's up, Sim? If you look about at what the Killer Bees era defense," he said, "I sent. It looked like some con would have what? Let me read this again. He says, if you look about at if you look about the what if Killer Bees era I sent, it looked like con would have don't. I love COVID, but." I think that comment is a little bit choppy, but I think you're saying if you look at the what if from the Killer Bee defense era, and you compare what Khan is doing versus Colbert, you would have to say that Omar Khan is doing a much better job. I think that's what you're saying. If that's what you're saying, I absolutely agree with that. Absolutely agree with that. Again, Jack Bauer. That's your opinion. You're welcome to it. You're not gonna get a debate from me. Listen. I do not debate opinions. I respect it, and that's what it's all about. We all don't have to agree. So I respect it. You don't have to try to prove the point to me, and I won't try to prove it to you. I'm just trying to use football things by saying, from a skill standpoint, he's one of the elite receivers in the league. That's just my opinion, but we don't have to agree. Let's get to the phone calls, man. And then, like I said, I'm getting out of here, man. Not gonna spend too much time here tonight. We got 3 calls in the queue. Y'all know what to do. Give me 1 second, and I will get the headphones on. All right, let's do it. First one in the queue is area code 318. What you got for us?
Well, what's up, Bob?
What's going on, brother?
Oh, not much. First of all, I just want to say RIP to Big Pokey. That was some sad news and details we got. I don't know if you saw on social media, but he passed out at a show. They say he passed away. I don't know, did he die on site or did he die later? But yeah, I just want to say RIP to him. But yeah, my biggest concern is I feel like if Canada for offense, if Canada can create mismatches, because we got hella. I ain't trying to curse or whatever. We got hella talent. I feel like we can come out big and then spread them out. You know what I'm saying? We got the talent for that. That's just an example. That's just one of my concerns. And another thing, I don't think Kenny Pickett I don't think he's played a full season. I don't think, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody can correct me. But I don't think he actually played a full season. So I just feel like, yeah, he's still developing. And for defense, I just feel like we got to win games that we should win. Like, the defense sometimes got to, because I remember a couple games that were like against the Jets. Zach Wilson, come on now. You know, I know they're NFL caliber players, but it's certain games where it's like, come on. That's a concern on defense. And corners. This is my last thing. I just feel like we talk about Trice and Porter and Peterson. But what you think about Levi Wallace? What did he fall and everything? That's it. Y'all have a good night.
Man, appreciate the call. And actually, I will hang on that last question there. You know, try to keep myself from being too long-winded, and try to address all the points. Honestly, man, I'm gonna be honest. I think we're at a point here where, I mean, they're going to have to take Levi Wallace's spot. You know, I know a lot of times what we do as fans, just generalizing, a lot of times, man, when the new toys come, we want those guys to play and, you know, get rid of the other guy, or we forget what another guy might have done for us. Levi Wallace played well last year. And I know Steeler Nation. I know what y'all going to say, man, but he wasn't a shutdown corner. He wasn't elite. Okay, maybe not. But go back, and Levi Wallace played well. As of today, Levi Wallace is a starter. I think, if anything, I'm going to make a bold prediction. I think Patrick Peterson sits down before Levi Wallace based off of how Levi played last year in our system. I think Pat Pete is going to be more on the move, which he's willing to do. and understanding that he's older. He's going to be used in spots. And he does have something to prove. But I don't want people to lose sight of that. Levi Waller's job will have to be taken. I don't think nobody has taken his spot just yet. He did not play bad at all last season. And he had some picks. That's going to account for something. Appreciate the call, man. Next up, we got Mr. Winningham, area code 803. How's it going, sir?
Good evening. Big Pokey, I watched that thing on TikTok, and it sounded like he went in cardiac arrest. He took a deep breath and then collapsed. So I don't know much about Big Pokey, but I did see the video, and prayers for his family. We hope that Kenny Pickett is a 65%, 70% passer. I ain't talking about touching big, long bombs or anything. We just want that consistency from him. And with that, I think the offense will flourish. Stay consistent. The biggest concerns outside of linebacker, of course, obviously, is the special teams for me, because I feel that, look, we can't give Presley Harvin another year of going out there and performing very poorly. I think he's a man that needs to drop about 30 pounds to get the to really excel in this league. I just don't think he goes out there and gives a full he doesn't show his talent, doesn't show his potential. And as far as Chris Boswell, he's been a great kicker for us over the years, but it seems there are years where there are health concerns. I thank you so much. Everybody have a great week and a blessing.
Man, thanks for calling, man. Mr. Winningham is always good for throwing something out there that some of us we may not have seen it, but if you didn't see it, at least we're not talking about it, even if we saw it. Man, what a good point you bring up about Harvin. Man, that's a great point. Listen, some people would say he's just a punter, but I mean, how many kickers do you see that's girthy like that? You know what I'm saying? I would only imagine any type of athlete, and some dudes can get away with it. Janikowski was a bigger guy, as far as a field goal kicker, but he was solid, right? He was what he was, my man Janikowski. But it's got to be something to that. If as an athlete, man, it has to be some type of shape that you're in, and a certain shape for the position you play. A lot of those linemen are big boys, right? But look at what they're doing. You understand what I'm saying? I don't think a punter should be built quite like that. There may be something to that. I don't know. I'm just saying. I can't say for sure, but I think Mr. Winningham is on to something there. And yeah, man, listen, I love Boz too, man. But you got to start thinking about these guys' career. Is it time to start looking elsewhere? I don't know. I don't know with Boz quite yet. I'm willing to give Boz the opportunity to play himself out more so than I would Harvin. Harvin is like, okay, it's time to bring some competition in there, and yeah, may the best man win. That's just how I'm feeling about that. But all right, man, let's keep it moving, guys. We got a few more calls in the queue. Next up, area code 678. What you got for us?
Thanks for taking my call, Sim.
Yes, sir.
My concerns are inside linebacker. I don't believe, all due respect to Ryan Shazier, he's a very good linebacker for the Steelers. But I was saying in the chat earlier, we need a Jack Lambert to come through that mug again. We need somebody that can stop the run and cover the pass and have some years with the Steelers. Unfortunately, our inside linebackers, they haven't been around or been able to stick around long enough to become a Jack Lambert. My second concern is depth at brand names. I'm tired of people like T.J. Watt going down or Ryan Shazier. I'm worried if Mika Fitzpatrick goes down. Like, who is their backup? Can they step up? If the brand name guy goes down, can somebody step up? Because we need some. I think the Steelers need more depth, And then my third thing, and then I'll get off the telephone. I asked you last week about did you watch games in the 90s, and I could see where you wouldn't really be paying that much attention due to the quarterback play that we had going on back then. Because, man, I watch full games, Sim. I'm the Steelers fan that, like, right now there's nothing to do, there's nothing to talk about, so I'm watching full games. And Neil O'Donnell would make you go in your room and play with your toys. Man, that dude was garbage, man. And I just want to ask Mr. Wilhelm, hey, Mr. Wilhelm, if Tommy Maddox was in that Super Bowl against Dallas the first time, do you think we could have got a ring?
Oh, man.
Thanks for taking my call, Phil.
Yes, absolutely, man. Appreciate the call. And, oh, man, that's a question for you right there, because one thing I do remember about O'Donnell is them interceptions. And I swear, if memory serves me correctly, the second one, bruh, if payola was a thing, like, I can remember that. Even though, I won't intently watch it as much as I do now, dog, there was nobody around. Like, wow. And that's my memory of Neil O'Donnell, is how bad he was in that Super Bowl. And maybe some of y'all can tell me he wasn't as bad as I thought, but that's what sticks out to me. Yikes, man. But yeah, man, definitely, quality depth is always going to help the team. I think the Steelers are going in that direction now. I'll just say, sometimes it's hard to get depth like that at each position. Even if you think back to the, the days of the early 2000s and when the Steelers was ranked number one, deep on both pass and rush. Some of those guys we had in the background, a lot of them dudes were backups, Aaron Smith and those dudes and, Kiesel, but they weren't household names when they came in. You understand what I'm saying? They became that. So that's why sometimes it's a little tricky to say, having big names for depth, because sometimes you develop those dudes, your James Harrisons, guys like that. So, but I definitely understand what you're saying. All right, guys, we got two more calls. First one up here is area code 717. That's my neck of the woods. What you got for us?
Hey, what's up? What's going on, brother?
What's going on?
Hey, I was going to call this gloat about Mark Robinson not being our guy, but I won't do that to y'all. What I'm going to say is, we like the inside linebacker, but we really is just getting thumpers. It seems like that's what the prototype is we're looking for right now. And if you look around the league, really, inside linebacker, nobody's got a covered linebacker right now. I mean, you can look at Fred Warner, Roquan Smith, but
Warner.
They haven't had that problem. But I tell you what, we got the answer on the roster, and I think y'all overlooking Keanu Neal. He played linebacker for the Cowboys before he got to Tampa Bay. So, I mean, I think they're going with a scheme where you'll see him in the box all the time, and he can cover. So, I know everybody worried about inside linebacker, but I think we got it covered.
Man, that's an excellent call. I really appreciate that call, man. And you make an outstanding point. I mean, I know I probably talked a little bit about Neil when we signed him, but I think for sure what we're going to see, and this is probably what I said, so a little different but the same. I think we're definitely going to see the 3 safety look. The Steelers have been entertaining that ever since they signed, I hate to even say his name, Morgan Burnett. That's what they wanted to do, right? They did it last year for a short stint when KZ got healthy, but it's going to be like you said. Notice how we was rotating Edmonds a lot up in the box, putting Edmonds up on the line. That's probably how they're going to do Neil. So that's a phenomenal point. Great call. Appreciate that. But yeah, man, we could very well be overreacting in that regard. Maybe the Steelers, they might be doing exactly what I said earlier in terms of quote unquote, preparing for a base defense, these thumpers and things like that to support the run, but they primarily will be playing sub, And like you said, you could definitely play big nickel and put Keanu Neal down in that box, alongside Holcomb or whoever, gets the opportunity to be the other guy at the inside. So great point. And let's definitely not overlook that. And let's remember this call, because if it turns out to be that, we definitely going to give him his props. So appreciate that call. Oh, it's funny, man. I live in the 717 right now, and then my hometown right here is calling. Area code 804. Y'all already know I got to take that one. Cap City, what you got for us?
Hey, what's going on, sir?
What's going on, brother?
Hey, nothing much. I want to say my biggest concern right now for the team is the inside linebacker position, and I wouldn't even say Cole Holcomb or Robertson. I would really say Mark Robinson, and I'm gonna say Mark Robinson because I don't know which coach it was. I don't know if it was Alex Curry or any of the other coaches, but when they were talking about Mark Robinson, they were talking about, yeah, he's looking good, he's doing this and that and the third, but he still has a long way to go. And that worries me because, when he was out there for the few times he was out there, I mean, he looked like a thumper. He looked like the guy that we wanted out there. Mm-hmm. And it's concerning to me because, I'm not trying to knock the two guys in front of him because they were captains on the teams that they were on. But, not really being aggressive at the linebacker position as far as getting a star via the draft or free agency or trading. Everyone thought we was going to get Terrell Emmons' brother. People thought that was going to happen. But yeah, I want to see Mark Robinson grow as a player, and it's just kind of concerning to hear a coach say that he's kind of like not really where we want him to be. And another concern I'll probably have is I want to see if our defensive coordinator, if he can formulate game plans so we can keep up with teams. Because I don't think that we're a team. I don't think we could beat a powerhouse team. I think we could compete with them, but again, I think that depends on if our defensive coordinator comes out with a game plan for us to compete with them. But that's all I got. I appreciate you. You already know 2 up, 2 down.
Yes, sir, man. VA all day, all day. Look, man, he makes a valid point about the coordinators, but I will say this. I'm not as concerned about the defensive coordinator because I need to go back and take a look at the entire season last year. But not too many teams put crazy numbers up on us as far as points that I can recall. Our defense was good. The defense did their job. The defense had the most interceptions. We got off the field at times. Sometimes we didn't. But it's really, to me, I'm going to flip it to the other coordinator and just anybody involved with the offense. So let's just say Canada and Pickett. We're going to have to score. Like, in order to compete with these powerhouse teams, we got to score. Because if I'm being honest, in today's NFL, ain't a whole lot of defenses that don't allow no points. You understand what I'm saying? Like, even some of the best teams get scored on. And it's because these offenses are so potent. And these offenses are able to pull a trick, rabbit out the hat when they have to. And that's what it's going to take, too. So it's got to be a combination of not only our defense staying firm, right? But our offense is going to have to produce more points to compete with these high-powered offenses. So that's how I view that. All right, man. I got one last call, and let me see where we at as far as time. I think I'm down to like 8 minutes. I'm gonna beat this time tonight. So, caller, if you can make it quick, you will be the last call of the night. Area code 651. What you got for us?
Hey, what up with it, Sam?
Hold on. I can't hear anything.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we back. I had pulled the headphone out.
All right.
I got you.
That's all good. All right, so I was sitting thinking about the linebacker position, and the answer is Landon Roberts. Not because necessarily his talent, but this guy was a captain for the New England Patriots of all places, so he's smart. He may not be the most athletic, just like most of the New England linebackers, but they know where to be and when to be there. You give a guy like Mark Robinson that type of knowledge with the explosion he has, he's going to be what you need him to be. And Cole Holcomb actually is pretty athletic as well. So I think Landon is really there for Robinson. And until he's ready to play, that's who's going to hold it down and why he teaches him what he needs to do. So I'm kind of looking at it that way. I also think the way our team is being built, we're just going to beat you up on the ground on offense. On defense, we're thumping you all game. You're not. You can throw your little routes out there, but we're gonna make you itch and kill us with a stick pin. And then Kenny is going to come through at the end and win like he did toward the end of the season, which he figured out for like the last 6 or 7 games. But now they're hoping that he grows where he can actually break down his own plays and make plays without having to just come back in the game. Take us down the field, Kenny. If you can do it on the first drive, let's do it. Let's not wait to the end of the game. We're going to trust you to go out there and do what you need to do. We gave you 2-pounder running backs. You got huge O-linemen, smart O-linemen at that now, especially with Seamalu being there. I want to see, can you pull this out? Can you lead us instead of bringing us back? And I think that's how we're going to try to win this season. But that's all I got, man.
Man, great call. That's an excellent point. You know, can Kenny lead the team? You know, like, and it's funny, man, because I hate to put it all on his shoulders, but somebody asked me earlier, what do I expect out of him? It's kind of like that. 651 hit it on the head. I want to be able to feel like, you know, Kenny and the offense, I'm confident in them. They might not score 40 points a game, but I want to feel more like, all right, you know, okay, we didn't execute on that particular drive. It's all right, we'll come back on the next one. I don't want to feel like we got to wait for them to come back or turn it on late. So, again, it's a combination of Kenny and Canada, but definitely from just a sole quarterback position, can Kenny come out like this, even kill, right? And just run that offense and not be in these situations all the time that we're wondering if he can, you know, bring it back. You know, I'm praising his, you know, his game-winning drives last year. Good to see. That showed me a lot about his character and his ability. But can he come out, again, this is not a comparison, people, but understand what I'm saying. Can he come out and can we feel like, you know, like when Mahomes takes the offense or Allen, again, I'm not comparing skill. I'm just saying the feeling that you have. Even when you watch them, right? And it's other quarterbacks, but even when you watch guys like that and you ain't even a fan, you just watching football, you know they about to march down the field, get it, you know, well, they'll probably get a field goal. Even like, say, like Rodgers. You know what I'm saying? I want to have that feeling. Can he command the offense and have sustainable drives in a consistent game, even if there's some drives, because again, you're playing against professionals. There's going to be drives where the offense gets stopped. You're playing against pros. But I just don't want to feel the way I felt last year of like, oh God, I hope they can. I want to be able to say, I know we comfortably going to score 24 points. And if we don't, it's because we playing a really good defense and we can't hardly score. They can't hardly score. It's going to be one of them slugfest games. But I don't want to go into these games feeling like, man, what that offense going to do? I don't want that. Please don't let that happen again. It was agonizing watching those games, man. I cannot front. But man, great calls tonight, man. I got 3 minutes, and I'm gonna get out of here early just because I said I was. What time is it? Oh man, it's past 9. I wanted to shut off before 9 because you know I gotta head to work tomorrow. You know it's one of my commute nights. But that's all I got, guys. I'm not gonna spend any time, you know, post call as far as reading comments. You know, I need to go get myself together. We're actually heading out of town on Thursday, so it's a couple little things I need to do tonight so I don't have to do as much tomorrow. Get myself into bed to wake up at 5:30 a.m. to drive to DC. So yeah, that's just my crazy life. But again, man, before you guys go, always gonna remind you to hit the like button. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Click on those notifications. That's all I ask. That's free. It don't cost you anything. And thank you for all of you who donated, not only here, but some of you guys have continued to donate in various ways. Some of you guys have joined the channel. You're paying a $4.99 membership for a month. Some of you are still sending Cash App, and some of you are sending PayPal. I appreciate y'all. For anybody who cares to do so in that regard, Cash App and PayPal information is in the description. But again, man, I always appreciate that because y'all do not have to do it. But outside of that, man, I hope you guys have a great night, a great rest of the week. Stay safe, stay healthy. God bless. And like always, I thank you guys for tuning in for Terrible Towel Tuesday. And I beat my time by a minute. It's going to be a minute by the time I say peace. All right, man. Catch y'all in the next one. Peace.